All right, Algebra 1, here we go. This is the 2-1C notes, and we are going to be distributing monomials. So basically, this is your distributive property. You may have heard that term before. So let's review what we talked about in the previous 2-1B notes with our subtracting polynomials. So what we're going to do is, again, this first set here, whatever you see inside the first set of parentheses, we just recopy that, okay? So k to the third minus 2k squared plus 8. Recopy that, and then we change this to a plus, and then we change all of these signs. So this will be a plus, this is going to be a plus 3k squared minus 6k plus 5. Okay, so let me slide this down here. Okay, so you can see I rewrote the first k to the third minus 2k squared plus 8, and then plus positive 3k squared minus 6k plus 5. So we change all of those. Okay. And now we look at our like terms. So we start with the highest power. Remember, we want to go in descending order. So descending means start with my highest power and then work my way down. So the highest power is k to the third, or k cubed. So k cubed, there's only one k cubed, so that will just be brought down. And then I look at my k squareds. Well, I have a k squared right here, and I have a k squared right here. So they will be combined together. All right, remember, we're adding the numbers out front. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1k squared. I have a k right here by itself, so that will be brought down. And then I also have, I'm going to use different colors so we can see the difference in our like terms here. I have a plus 8 and a plus 5, so they will be added together. Okay, so my final answer right here, let me just go over that again. I brought the k to the third down. For my k squareds, I had a negative 2k squared plus 3k squared, which gave me 1k squared. And again, you can have a 1 there if you want to, but we don't need it. And then I had a minus 6k, so I brought the minus 6k down. That didn't have a like term to combine with it, so I just brought it down. And then I had 8 plus 5, which gave me 13. All right, so again, that's our bell ringer. We just reviewed what we talked about yesterday with adding or subtracting the polynomials. I have add right here, but really that should say subtract. All right, so new stuff. What we want to remember is our exponent rule, where when we multiply like bases, we add the exponents. Okay, that's the main thing that we need to remember here. And again, that's something we talked about in chapter 1 with our exponent rules. Whenever we add similar bases, mainly x's or a's or b's, we're not really doing this with numbers, but just our x's, we need to remember that we add those exponents. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. Now, we are going to take this number on the outside. And again, I know I keep saying this over and over again, but this is very, very important that if you are confused on this, you need to get these questions answered, because this is a topic that over the next 2 or 3 days we will be expanding on. Okay, so right now it's just one term being multiplied through. The next lesson is 2 terms being multiplied through, and then it'll be 3 terms. So again, we keep expanding a little bit at a time. So if you are not sure about this, don't just let it go, all right? Because we are expanding on this. We're gonna build on this topic. So if you're not sure about something, ask, because we're gonna build on it. So if you're confused today, you're gonna be even more confused tomorrow and even more confused the next day. All right, so let me show you what I'm talking about here. We're going to take this term outside here, this 2x, and we are going to multiply it through, we're going to distribute it by every term inside here. Okay, we're going to do them one at a time. So I'll use different colors to show you what each of these terms are. So we multiply the numbers. Now remember, there's a 1 here. If there's nothing written, that means there's a 1. Same thing for the exponent. If there's nothing written, that means there's a 1. So we multiply the numbers out front. So 2 times 1 is 2. And then we add the exponents. 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay, so multiply the numbers out front, add the exponents. That's it. Change up my color here so we can see the difference. Next term, multiply the numbers. 2 times 6. 2 times 6 gives me 12. Add my exponents. Remember, this is a 1. So my exponents, here's a 1. Here's a 1. Well, 1 plus 1 is 2. Last one. If this gets too busy just drawing the arrows here, you could switch it up and do it up top if you want to do that. Okay, you don't have to keep doing it like this. Like, I'm gonna keep doing my arrow underneath here like this. But if it gets to be too messy and there's too much going on here, you can do it up top like that. Now, we don't want to say 2 times 5 and do plus 10. Remember, we have this negative sign right here. So this is 2 times negative 5, which is negative 10. And then since the 5 doesn't have an x, when we do x times nothing, that's just x. Because this would really be like an x to the 0. So when we add 0 plus 1, it would still be a 1. Okay, but we don't usually look at it like that. We just kind of bring that x down there. Okay, so this is your final answer right here. There are no like terms because even though they all have an x in them, none of them have the same power. So that would be our final answer. All right, I have the next one done for you here, so let me talk you through it. We're going to multiply this 4b through. So again, multiply my numbers. And again, feel free to pause this and write it down and then listen. 4 times 5 is 20. B times b squared is b to the third. We add the powers. This is a 1. Oops. I'm on my eraser here. This is a 1. So 1 plus 2 is 3. Remember, there's just like a 1 here. So multiply your numbers. 4 times 1 would be 4. Add the powers. 1 plus another 1 here would be 2. Last term, 4 times 6 is 24. And then b times, there's no b term here, so we just bring that b down. Okay, let's do the next one together here. We're going to multiply this now. Again, when we multiply this through, we are multiplying a negative 4y squared. Don't forget that negative. A lot of times people forget that negative, and they just do 4 times 5 and write down a 20. But that negative is very important that we bring that through with it. So let's multiply that with it. All right, so first up, negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. Now let's add our exponents. 2 plus 4 gives me 6. I'm going to switch up my color. Negative 4y squared. Now we're doing this times a negative 3y. So first of all, multiply my numbers. Negative 4 times negative 3 is a positive 12. Add my variables. 2 plus 2 gives me 4. Switch up my color. Negative 4y squared times my last term out here, 2. Negative 4 times 2 is a negative 8. And y squared times no y term just means we bring the y squared down, and we're done. Next one I have done for you. Again, I'll walk you through it. Similar to the last one, it's got a negative 7h, so we multiply this through. Negative, and again, make sure you take the whole negative 7h, don't forget that negative. Negative 7 times 3 is negative 21. H times h squared, this h has a 1, so 1 plus 2 is 3. Negative 7h times negative 8h. Negative 7 times negative h, remember negative times negative is a positive. 7 times 8 is 56. H times h is h squared. And the last term, negative 7 times negative 1 is a positive 7, and then we just have that h. So we have a couple of word problems we're going to end with here. So we want to know what expression represents the product of 5VW and this 2VW and 6W and VW squared. Now basically this is really just adding words into the same thing. Product just means multiply. So really all this is asking us, it's not really, the last one is kind of like a real word problem. This one is just putting this problem right here into words. So let's just write this out because it's just saying product. That's the same thing as this right here. Okay? So now let's multiply this through. But what we have to keep track of now is we have multiple variables. Okay? So first of all, we'll start it the same way. 5 times 2 is 10. But now we have to add the exponents of the like variables. So v times v, add those exponents, so that's v squared. And w times w will be w squared. Next term, 5VW times 6. So 5 times 6, always start with your numbers. 5 times 6 is 30. But now look, there's a v here, but there's no v here, so bring the v down. That doesn't have anything to multiply by over here. But w we do. W times w, so that will be w squared. And then my last term, 5vw times negative vw squared. So 5, this is like a -1 here. So 5 times -1 is -5. And then we have v times v is v squared. And then w times w squared, when we add those together, we get w to the third. Okay, so that's not really a whole lot different from what we've already done, other than the fact that we had to know what the word product meant. All right, so the last one here. Find the expression, the expression below is a polynomial, and we know what it simplifies to. Okay, we know that when we take this and we do all this multiplying, we're going to take it and multiply all this through, we know that it simplifies to this right here. And we want to know what must be the value of x. All right, so let me erase all of my scribbling in here, because we want to figure out what is the value of this x term. Okay, it may be a number, it may be a variable. We want to know what is the value of that. All right, so what we can do is we can just look at one term, and then we want to verify that it works with the other terms. So let's say if I multiply this by this, and I have xa, if I multiply that by my 4a to the third, 4a squared, I'm going to end up with a to the third. 4a squared. So that means I have 4 times x, right? 4 times x, and then a to the third if I add those powers. 1 plus 2 will be 3 if I add the exponents. So if I multiply 4 times x, what does that have to equal? Well, look, we know right here that has to equal 12. We're told -12. We're told that. So we know 4 times x has to equal -12. So if I want to know what x is equal to, well, I just divide by 4, or maybe some of you can just look at this and automatically tell me that x is equal to -3. And then we want to make sure that it works with all of them. So if I take -3 times -5, do I get 15? Yes. If I take -3 times 9, do I get -27? Yes. All right, so we know that's our final answer. Okay? So again, like always, if you have any questions, let me know. Rewind the video, watch any of those problems over again if you're unsure about any of them. But again, this is a very important lesson that you make sure, if you're not sure about something, make sure that you ask questions. Make sure that you really understand this lesson, because we will be building on it over the next couple of days. So you don't want to fall behind on any of these. So let me know if you have any questions, and send me an email, send me a private comment, and we'll try to get your questions answered.